When we talk of the Victorian era, we all talk about their beautiful gowns, lavish homes, and passionate romance, but no one talks about how clean they were or how they went to the bathroom, or when they last took a bath. Victorians were known for many things, but hygiene was definitely not one of them. Today we look at what hygiene was really like in the Victorian era. The smell of human waste and industrial effluent hung over Victorian London. For centuries the River Thames had been used as a dumping ground for the capital's waste, and as the population grew, so did the problem. The vast majority of homes were built without flush toilets. Night soilmen collected some of the solid waste for use as fertilizer, but much found its way onto the capital's streets or into its watercourses. During the Great Stink, it was said that some people who'd got too close to the Thames suffered from apoplectic fits, fainting, and vomiting where they stood. Such was the power of the noxious stench from the river. This water harbored all manner of diseases, everything from typhoid to cholera. There was no such thing as fresh air in the larger cities. As crazy and disgusting as it sounds, Victorians did really bleach their clothes with urine. Where laundry was concerned, Victorians often used more than soap to clean their clothing. Grease and oil stains were regularly combated by rubbing chalk into clothing, while kerosene could remove grass stains and blood stains alike. But when it came to bleaching their clothes, dipping their clothes in their urine did a good job for them. The ammonia in the urine made even the worst stains go out of the clothes. Women used cloth pads tied or buttoned to belts to soak up the menstrual blood. Protection for menstruation came in the form of a tea bandage. A tea bandage was cloth, folded like a cravat, and tied around the hips with a string or ribbon. They weren't very comfortable. They had to shape it, fold it over, just as you put on a baby. The cloth often chafed the inside of a woman's thighs, especially if it was wet, making painful abrasions. They got in the way of urination. 19th century women, who used outhouses, chamber pots, or a discreet outdoor spot, did not normally wear panties or other clothes that would need to be pulled down. Disposable pads were invented in the late 19th century, and even an early version of the tampon was implemented around that time. Just like we do today, Victorians used toothpaste because it existed at that time, well, for the upper class or middle class. The lower class made their own concoction like soot, chalk, coral, powdered cuttlefish, for cleaning teeth. Toothbrushes existed but were relatively expensive and not so comfortable to use, but those who couldn't afford cleaned their teeth using water with twigs or rough cloths as toothbrushes. If you were unlucky enough to suffer from tooth decay, and if the pain got really bad, then there was really only one option available. The tooth needed to be pulled, or we can say yanked out, to be more specific. Even in the finest parts of London, tooth extraction was carried out by local barbers. After all, they usually had the tools for it. Dentists operated out of dirty workshops and conditions were far from hygienic. In fact, while you may enjoy some respite from the pain of toothache, getting a backstreet extraction could lead to even greater problems. Tens of thousands of people died from botched treatments and infection and other complications such as excessive blood loss at the hands of unqualified dentists. Those who wanted their teeth whitened would see a specialist, though sometimes this went awry. An example is that of the two peregrinating dentists who passed through town selling a solution for whitening the teeth. Unfortunately, after a few days had passed, the treated teeth grew black, were denuded of the enamel, and became so extremely sensitive that they had to be extracted. Those who could afford a bathtub bathed a few times a month, but the poor were likely to bathe only once a year. Doctors advised against bathing, believing it had a negative effect on health and on the appearance of the skin. In the early 1900s, a typical family washed once a week on Saturday night. They used one tub of water, with the father bathing first, then the mother, then each child. During the weeks between baths, the Victorian lady would wash off with a sponge soaked in cool water and vinegar. In the mid-1900s, indoor plumbing became widely available along with modern bathrooms. Around this time, advertisers heavily marketed soap and shampoo, and daily showering became the norm. Shampoo was usually homemade in the Victorian era. About once a month, women would crack eggs over their heads, work the gooey egg up into a lather in their hair, and then wash the egg out with a pitcher of water. Many cooking-related items were popular pre-shampoo alternatives. When tuberculosis began to spread with fervor during the Victorian era, the way it was contracted still wasn't fully understood. During this time, it killed many in heavily populated cities. More women were getting sick than men. Long skirts and tight corsets were blamed for the spread of tuberculosis. Doctors claimed that long skirts dragging in the street picked up the disease, causing women to unknowingly bring it into the home. The tight corsets women were forced to wear were also thought responsible for tuberculosis, as corsets constricted the lungs. Higher skirts and looser corsets were implemented to help stop the spread of the disease. If you find this video interesting, please subscribe to our channel for more. Thank you for watching.